Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast we bring you every week. This is the Monday mashup, but it's not the Monday mashup. It's International Break Marathon, as we've called this show. Marky,
Yeah,
how are we?
I'm good, cuz. How are you keeping?
Yeah, not a bother at all. Pretty good. God, it's tough when the football isn't on, isn't it? When the real football isn't on.
Yeah. I was watching a bit of Cove Ramblers against UCD on Friday night. Then obviously we had Ireland and Belgium at 5 o'clock, and then I watched the England Brazil game straight after. But yeah, it's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just it's hard to know what to make of it. Really, it's just I don't know. I wonder is international football just losing its shine until it gets to the finals of these tournaments?
Yeah, and I think Gary Neville said it, and the lads on the overlap there during the week. This March break, it's a bit unnecessary, isn't it? Like, I
Really
know.
is.
Listen, I know Wales had to have the playoff and all, which is fine, but you look at all the actual friendlies that are around, it just seems a bit pointless, especially this time of the season. You see a lot of lads pulling out the squads and stuff like that. So I think they could do without it, if I'm being honest. And we spoke about it before. We've had so many international breaks since at the end of August to now. I think there's been 4 to 5. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. But before we get started, anyway, here is our sponsor for generally the Monday mashup. Marky,
Yes,
give them the
international
rundown.
break. Yeah, lads. Still taking bookings for this year. Had a phone call with Tony there the other day, so we've a few more events coming up as well with the Manchester United legends. As like I said before, we're in Athenry, we're in Longford. There's another one coming up in Letterkenny as well, and there will be one in Dublin. I think it's around the August bank holiday weekend. This Saturday they're out in Balbriggan. They're having a mini World Cup out in Balbriggan. They were meant to do it a few weeks ago, but the weather wasn't right. The pitches were called off, so the trophies are going to be out in Balbriggan this Saturday. Hopefully the weather dependent. That's what Joey was texting me. He was like, hope for the weather, and yeah, there's teams from around the place coming out and playing out there, and they'll be all getting their pictures taken with the trophies. But yeah, if anyone needs a trophy for any type of event, get in touch on the socials and stuff like that. And the FA Cup is free. I've It's free. Is it the 21st of April? Yeah, which is the semi-final weekend. So if anyone's interested in bringing it to its club or local bar or house on the weekend of the semi-finals, get in contact with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure you head over there and support Marky on all the socials and everything if you can. Right, where do we begin? We're going to talk about the title race we said we want to talk about. We're going to touch on international football. What have I got lined up as well? Leicester looking to take legal action against the Premier League in relation to this points deduction before they even come back up. We'll touch on the situation at Chelsea. I don't know if you've seen the cartoon kind of sticker thing, the supporters Chelsea Trust, I think, released.
I just
Um,
seen it there. That's it in the
it's
corner
an
there,
old
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but we have it on a slide here, but it's basically calling Clear Lake Clown Lake, and the boys are all done up as clowns and all. And it's created quite a division within the Chelsea fan base, even as well, because they obviously have
It
the
is.
Chelsea Supporters Trust, and then they also have the supporters that are aligned with the board members, representation.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's division between the two there at the moment, and we'll get into that as well. That'll be interesting as well. We're going to talk about the Premier League Hall of Fame. Ashley Cole, the latest inductee into the Hall of Fame, but we do have
Mm.
12 other nominations, and we're going to
There,
pick the other four tonight between us.
well, I was just gonna say there is probably one or two that aren't even on that list that should be ahead of some of the lads that are there. To be honest.
Potentially, and there's some of them on the list there that have appeared on the last two or three lists, to be honest,
Yeah,
as well.
yeah,
Get in. So we'll talk about it and talk about who you feel maybe should be on it. And we'll also we'll try and dissect down and agree on a four to win from our point of view. The
yeah, yeah.
four that we're nominating from the upper tier.
Exactly, and
We're
and
also going to
obviously
be talking
lads in the chat as
about,
well. There, you get onto it as well, lads. Yeah, and
yeah,
lassies.
absolutely. Let us know who you want in as well when we flash the slide up. We're also going to be talking about the Liverpool Legends game. Fernando Torres does what he does.
He's
But
in some nick, isn't he?
unbelievable, yeah. And fantastic for Sven Goran Eriksson as well.
Yeah,
So
brilliant,
we'll
brilliant, man.
touch on that briefly as well.
Yeah,
Interesting stuff there. Like I said, we'll get into the internationals and anything else the chat wants us to talk about. Hit it up. It is an open kind of forum tonight because there isn't a whole lot to be talking about or previewing or reviewing. So we'll start with the chat. Acers, who can read my mind every week, he knows every single slide nearly I put together. Cashley
go
Cole,
on, yeah,
Premier League. Let us know who you think. It's Nottingham Forest failed appeal against points deduction.
saying that.
UEFA laying down the law to United about them having to win FA Cup to qualify for Europa League next season.
Yeah, and then
I thought that would all change with the new format anyway.
what did you read? What else was coming out that we mightn't get to play in Europe because of his
Nice,
involvement in Nice and stuff like that? So
yeah.
yeah, listen,
But I think that's changed now, isn't it, with the new format?
yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Listen, you're
because
gonna
you
hear all
can't.
this, especially in International Week. That all these stories will come out just to fill up the papers.
Absolutely. Sky Germany reporting that Xavi Alonso will be joining Bayern Munich in the summer. I seen another report from Sky Germany today talking about how Alonso was nailed on for Liverpool as well. At this
Yeah,
stage, I wouldn't be leaving any of those reports. I don't believe Xavi
listen,
Alonso at this
what
stage in the season is talking to any teams and just focus on Leverkusen winning
exactly.
the
I'd
Bundesliga.
only believe it when I see him holding whoever's scarf in his hand up in the air. That's like again, you're gonna get this to and fro between now and the summer. And I think even for him himself, he has to concentrate on Leverkusen and seeing out
The
the
Europa
season for them. They've
and the
probably about
Bundesliga.
7 or 8 games left or whatever it is. And yeah, so for him, I think it's fair that people stop talking about, let him concentrate on the job that he's doing at the minute.
And let's be honest, Sky Germany are not going to report that he's going to Liverpool now, are they?
Yeah,
Because
exactly,
they
exactly.
have a card in the deal there. Daz is in. Big up Daz. How are you, my friend? What's the crack,
How's it
Niall and
going,
Mark?
Daz?
Joanna's in. How are you, Joanne? Hope you're
How
all
are you,
well on
Joanne?
board football. Absolutely.
True,
Killer,
very
isn't
true.
it? Eno's in. What's the crack, lads? Big up
How are you,
Eno.
Eno?
Ava's in. Good see. Good evening, lads. Sorry
How are
about
you?
the sleep delay there. It was my
How are
sound
you,
system.
Dave?
Daz is back in. Would you start the starting lineup for the Euros tomorrow? Um, I don't think he can because I know Kane is gone, isn't he? Kyle Walker is gone.
Kyle
Uh,
Walker has a hamstring. Apparently, it's not as serious as first thought, but
no,
yeah, he won't be involved in that. I was thinking myself, he's probably Pep was like pulled De Bruyne and Haaland out, and Kyle Walker still there. He probably said, just make sure you go down a few minutes into the game, and we get you out there.
yeah, absolutely. Baz is in as well. Big up, Baz.
How are you,
Congratulations to
Baz?
Baz. He turned 40 yesterday. So spam the
Happy
chat with
birthday,
face
Baz.
and all kind of emojis, folks. Baz was 40 yesterday. Big
Happy
up.
birthday, Baz. You don't look a day over 39. Fair play to you.
I'll join you for the Slammy podcast if that's all right, bro. We'll see. It's going to be a quick one this week. So we'll see what happens on Wednesday. I'll tag you in at some stage, so don't worry. I won't leave you out there, who else have we got? Dave's in. Darren
Go
Fletcher
on,
should be
Fletch.
inducted. Darren Fletcher.
Did you know?
Transfer out is a major problem, is it?
Do you know Darren Fletcher's auntie is a nun in Our Lady's Grove in Goatstown? There you go.
Darren Fletcher's who?
His auntie is a nun in Our Lady's Grove in Goatstown there.
How long is she a teacher?
Oh yeah, I think but she's old, like she's
Mm.
very old.
Yeah, my sister went there. Jane
Yeah,
went there.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
We used to live right beside it in Robert
yeah,
County.
yeah. Rebecca went there as well and stuff like that. So and yeah, but yeah, she's a nun over there.
Yeah, I used to go mad because I'd be going up to the Nildas and Jane would be just getting out of bed and walking
Yeah,
around.
it's strolling around. Yeah, it's always the way though, isn't it?
Right, let's get into this title race and give me your thoughts on it. This is where we're
Mm.
at the moment. I know some of the to be confirmed have kind of been confirmed and they're
Yeah,
slightly in different areas and stuff like that, but this is the slide I had ready.
yeah.
Uh, give me your thoughts on it at the moment. What do you think? How do you see this running out, first of all?
Yeah, it's listen, it's gonna be a tough one to call. Obviously, Arsenal in first place at the minute, but you look, they've obviously City away coming up on Super Sunday. Um, difficult games. The likes of Brighton away won't be easy. Villa at home, but then obviously Spurs away and ourselves away. Now, listen, I know we haven't been great this season, but it's always a tough game. United Arsenal, it's always hard to call, but they do have some tricky games in there. And obviously, I think it's is it in between the Wolves game or the Spurs game? They have Munich over the is it or the Villa? They've obviously Munich in the Champions League then.
Yeah.
Either side of one of those games. So it's going to be very tough for them. I think. Um, you'd expect them. Obviously, the Chelsea game as well. Everton on the last day of the season at home. They'll have. I think I think they have a tougher run in. Like I've always stuck up for Arsenal on this, but I just think they might fade off. And then obviously you look at yourselves. I think Brighton. Listen, you look at Brighton on Sunday and thinking it should be, you know, the way yous are playing, the way they played, it should be a win. I think that'd be a tricky enough game for yous. Um,
Always is.
yeah, do you know what I mean? Obviously, you were at one of them a few 2 seasons ago, was it? Cause
Yeah.
I think that be Sheffield United. You'd be expecting to beat ourselves. You know, I could see maybe a draw. That well, I'd hope a draw for ourselves or a win, obviously. But even the likes of Fulham away, that's going to be a tricky game. Fulham obviously playing really good stuff at the minute. They've been very tough to play against this season. The way Silva has them playing, and your man from Robinson at the back all the way up there, they've quality like obviously West Ham and Spurs and Villa there. Yeah, Wolves, like tricky run. And listen, Everton, it's the last game in Goodison Park. It's the last Merseyside derby ever in Goodison Park. There's going to be a lot of emotion running through that game. Obviously, they haven't betches in such a long time that to be hoping for a scalp, the last game in Goodison. But yeah, there's some tricky games there for you. But I would expect you to overtake Arsenal, and then obviously you look at City. Um, I think they're playing. It's either side of the Luton game. Yeah, so they're playing in the Champions League after the
Uh,
Palace game. Then they're playing Luton. Then they've the Champions League game again after that. But you look at Luton, Forest. You would be expecting to beat them. The next two games are obviously going to be tough. Arsenal and Aston Villa. The only thing is they're both at home for them. That sort of way. So, um, I reckon. Listen, it's for me. It's about you picking up points and them. I think, like I said, I can see Arsenal probably dropping more points than yourselves and City. Obviously Spurs away will be difficult for them as well. They found it hard going to the going to Spurs over the last few years. That'd be a really big game, and I think that'd be pivotal in the run in for the title as well.
all three of us have to play Spurs.
Yeah, exactly. But like obviously you have Spurs at home, and obviously Arsenal and City have them away. I think Spurs are a harder task away from home than they would be at home. So I think you just have a slight advantage there in that sense.
So who are you thinking at the moment? Are you thinking City, us, and then Arsenal? Is that
Yeah,
what you're
yeah,
playing?
yeah. Basically, yeah. Like I said, Arsenal could surprise me, but usually there's a little drop off. Like I said, end of March, start of April with them for throughout the seasons that we've seen them. That there's a little drop off in form and stuff like that, and I do expect that to happen again.
Would you say that the game coming up on Sunday is a title eliminator?
Um, yeah, like it's possibly a little too early for that, given. Like you look, if City do win it, obviously they go on to 66. Arsenal are on still on 64, and they will pick up points between now and the end of the season. And listen, it will put a bit major dent in their push for the title. If I'm being honest with you.
I'm
Um,
thinking more in terms of rhythm and
yeah,
momentum.
no, it is
Obviously
like
not mathematically. I just
yeah.
just
Listen, the only thing for Arsenal is if they are, say, beaten by City, their next game is Luton at home, which, Luton have been decent, but they've been mainly decent in Kenilworth Road. Where if City were beaten, let's say, they've a very tough game against Aston Villa to recoup and recover from a defeat by Arsenal. Um, that's the only thing I'd say, that Arsenal do have Luton at home. So that if you're beaten by City, you think, right, City could lose points against Villa. We just have to beat Luton, and we could be still thereabouts. You know.
Mm. Terry Henry was saying that Real Madrid next season will be frightening to play against with Kylian Mbappe joining after the Euros.
Yeah.
They're frightening to play against anyway.
Imagine Mbappe like he'd be coming in. There'd be the honeymoon period, and oh man, just it's gonna be exciting. It'd be good to tune into La Liga again for once.
Absolutely, especially the Champions League games anyway, because
Yeah,
that's what
big time.
platform where you want it. Yeah, so interesting. We'll keep this updated every week, obviously, as we do our reviews and stuff.
How do you feel yourself? Cause like with Arsenal and City, obviously we'll take yourselves out of it but when you look at Arsenal and City's fixtures, how are you feeling yourself about that?
I think City are going to come third.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, and the reason I think that there's a number of issues there. We know how good they are, of course.
Yeah,
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 but one of the things I've noticed this season is they haven't kind of clicked. At this time of year, this is where they click and go on that
yeah,
run.
yeah,
Although they're getting results, they haven't really clicked where we see City the way they're going. You see Haaland at the moment, he's kind of ghosting through games a little bit.
yeah.
Although his stats are still very, very strong, but they're nowhere near last season.
Mm.
Um, and I think they're going to go probably deeper in the Champions League than Arsenal. So the likelihood is they might get caught up in that again and they might drop off. And I think I actually fancy Arsenal on Sunday to beat City.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
I think Arsenal are going to
Well,
beat
I
City on
listen.
Sunday.
I wouldn't be surprised by any means if it did happen. You know,
Mm.
um, I think Arsenal would give Munich a game over two legs. I just feel with Man City, I don't know. Like I suppose they can make as many changes as they want, can't they? You know that sort of way. But um, they've got Madrid, isn't it, over
Well,
the two legs?
you would kind of think that, but this season it hasn't kind of panned out that way. If you look at kind of like
Well,
Kovacic has
it's,
been decent, Vardiol has been kind of in and out of the team at times.
yeah,
Doku is kind of doing everything bar putting the ball in the back of the net because everyone likes to slag Luis Diaz, who does the
yeah,
exact same thing. But Doku hasn't been pulling up any grass really. I mean, he's looked impressive in all the build up and stuff like that, but the
yeah.
finished product isn't there.
And
Now it
obviously
is his
Grealish
first season.
injured.
Obviously they'd lost KDB for a while, and we don't know what the
Mm,
story is with him now in terms of he pulled out of the Belgium squad, I think, as far as I know. And Haaland, kind of as powerful and as good as he is, hasn't kind of looked like the Haaland since he's come back.
yeah, yeah.
Julian
And
Alvarez, I think, was really, really good last season. Came in at really pivotal times and got goals. But I think this season he's kind of being tried in a number of different positions, and none of them kind of suit him. I think
y-
Bernardo Silva's been excellent. Rodri, you know
yeah,
what you're getting, excellent. But I just find with City, it's just a little bit disjointed. And I wouldn't expect them to go on a 10-game run the way we normally would. If this was
yeah, yeah,
normal City in there with Mahrez and Gundogan and players like that and all who've been there, done it, and experienced it, I would say, listen, they'll probably win all 10 of these games. But the fact that this season it's a changed City side, they're coming off the back of a treble as well, so they're probably poleaxed as well and tired. And they're gonna feel it now. This is where you start to feel it. This is where you seen it with us how we dropped off so badly last season after trying to push for that quad the
yeah,
season before, and it just does catch up on you. There's only so many miles in those legs at times. And I just think City, I think will find it difficult. I think they have a nice run of games there: the Luton, Forest, Wolves, and Palace.
Wolves.
I think that's not too bad, but I think Arsenal and Aston Villa are going to be tough for them. And I think once the Villa game comes around, I think they might have one eye on Real Madrid. And I know Pep at times likes to tinker a little bit when those things are going on.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we'll see what happens. But for me, I think we're going to win it.
yeah,
I think with the players coming back, I think with the momentum that we have, I know you highlighted the Man United game there, the away game, but it'll be very different to the cup game. We won't
ah,
be
well,
taking
yeah,
after 70 minutes. We won't be doing
yeah.
things like that. It'll be a lot more serious. Um, but yeah, I
And
think the ones that you highlighted,
use. Oh,
well,
sorry for coming across. I was just going to say, use have, I would say, not a favourable, but in in the terms of the draws, when you obviously they're in the Champions League, it's different in the Europa League, but it's a game that you'd expect to win the first leg handily and maybe rest some players in the second leg then as well, you know.
potentially, potentially. The other thing that might mess us up as well is they've redone the fixtures and we've got 3 aways on the trot in the
Okay,
space
yeah,
of
yeah.
6 or 7 days, I think it is, which is crazy to me. Crazy. So I
So
presume Everton is in there somewhere between Fulham and West Ham.
on West Ham, yeah.
They're 3 tough away games all on
Oh,
the trot. And I
big
believe
time, yeah.
we've another 12-31 as well, apparently. So like
I'll say Jurgen's delight with
they
that.
proper screwed us, you know what I mean? So but
Jesus
listen, we have
Christ.
to find a way. What I would be buoyed by back is the fact that Allison is due back, Jota's due back, Trent is
Yeah.
due back. Some of these big game players are due back. The other players have done a fantastic job, but I think if we can get those players back, it'll give the squad a lift, maybe to get us over the line at the end
Yeah,
of the season.
yeah.
That's
That's
that's what we would be
that,
looking at.
that's where you have a squad. I think Jota's for pivotal for you as well. I love him. I think he's excellent. I think when he's not on the team, you still miss him. I think a fantastic boy at the time, but it'd be great to get. When's he back himself?
I don't think he's back this week. I think he's back the week after.
Yeah, yeah.
So he'll be back for the Sheffield United game.
United again. Yeah, it's a nice game for him to come back into. You know, he's back in after the injury as well. You know, no disrespect to Sheffield United, but like you'd expect us to put a few by them.
Yeah. The other thing I would say, and it's not being bitter in any way, because I said to you already, even last week, I'd love to be still in the FA Cup. I'd love to be going to Wembley and
Yeah,
all.
yeah,
But when we look back on it at the end of the season, it might have favoured us a little bit not having those extra games. Might
yeah,
help us, because now we only can focus on the Europa League and the league. And the only thing that might mess us up is the Thursday Sunday conundrum. That
yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
can be a problem, but we should have the squad to deal with if we get these players back. So
Mm.
that's the way I see it. But I think City. I'm looking at City potentially third,
Okay, interesting.
and I know that's a shout, but I think Arsenal have been so impressive.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, listen, like after what you were saying, if any of the seasons over the last few seasons was going to happen, it would be this season. You know, the way things have fallen, but it's certainly going to be an interesting few weeks, isn't it?
Absolutely, Keith is in. City for me have lost the hunger and drop off to go and win the Premier League title. I don't think they've lost the hunger. I think they're probably too relaxed in terms of they know how good they are. And sometimes when you go out there, you can look a little bit complacent on the pitch. But obviously, like if you're replacing Gundogan and Mahrez with Kovacic and Doku or whatever it was,
Yeah.
there's a drop off there. I mean, Gundogan was sensational last season.
Ah, should you remember that? Like, this is a reason why you never take them for granted. Remember that Villa game in the Etihad? Villa were 2-0 up. Was it 1-0 or 2-0 up? And they came back and Gundogan at the back post. Tap. Like, they were just unbelievable against them. And that's what got them over the line winning the league.
Yeah, Liverpool has more experience than Arsenal as regards winning the title. Just marginally. Remember, Arsenal were in a title race last season, and they would have learned from that drop off and not make those mistakes again. And I mean, remember, it took us a couple of attempts before we got over the line against
Yeah,
City, so
yeah.
we had to kind of learn on the job as well.
Like,
So
Miguel won't want to be the bridesmaid again. He'll want to be the bride. He want to be right up there at the top, you know?
certainly not to us.
Yeah.
When is Allison back? I think it's mid-April. I think it's mid-April, something like that. That's what I'm hearing
But
anyway.
Queven's been doing an excellent job for you, in fairness.
Yeah. Who's a tougher test for Liverpool in the Europa League, Benfica or Marseille? Marseille, I would say.
Is that be the next game after?
Yeah, that's the
That be
next
the
game on our
semi-final?
side of the playoff. We get past Avalanche. Probably Marseille, I would say. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on it, as we said. Um, let's chat about this Leicester. Not happy at all. Have started urgent legal proceedings against the Premier League and English Football League (EFL) after being charged with allegedly breaking spending rules.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on this? Tough on them, isn't it? On the way of almost on the way of coming back up and getting hammered again now.
Yeah. Obviously, listen, they're looking ahead. They know they're in a really, really good position in the championship at the minute, and they're thinking to themselves, listen, do we want to be going up to the Championship and, or up to the Premier League from the Championship after playing the amount of games we have this season, and then we've probably a likelihood of being docked 6 points even before we kick a ball, So obviously they're getting in ahead of time. They're seeing what's happening with Everton and Forest at the minute, and they're trying now. Listen, they'll be able to afford the best of the best, so they're getting in there to start these leagueable seasons before anything kind of arises, so to speak, before they get to the Premier League.
I suppose the issue is if they start off the season on a negative number, it's going to be very difficult for them. And then the fact that in terms of bringing players in that they would need,
That,
with such a
exactly.
microscope over FFP and profit and sustainability, it's going to be quite difficult,
It's
isn't it?
if they do come up, there is going to be an overhaul in the squad. There's no doubt. The likes of Vardy's playing here and there. Like his legs are gone. He hasn't been used as much. He's kind of coming off the bench a lot this season in the Championship.
Yeah.
There's talk of your man Dewsbury Hall getting a move away and a few others and stuff. So there's going to be a major overhaul there, and you're looking at it going, we have to get the right players in for the right price. We have to sell players at the right price as well. We have to juggle all this, and then, like I said, you could be starting the season off on -6 points. So a lot of pressure coming back up. You should be celebrating it. You should be excited when you get promotion like that. But it's obviously something that they have to think about over the summer now. And like I said, they definitely need an overhaul in the squad. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll keep an eye on it anyway as it's reported as we
Definitely,
move
yeah,
forward.
and the Forest situation as well and stuff.
Absolutely. And I think there's another one on the way for Everton as well, and according to Anthony.
When is there not? When is there not?
Let's talk internationals.
Yes.
Start with our own one, John O'Shea. 0-0 against Belgium. Probably could have done a little bit better and been slightly more expansive. I mean,
Yeah, well,
this wasn't a Belgian side in its pomp either. I mean, they were missing
like, it was a second
quite a few
string
players.
Belgium side
Yeah, I
for.
mean, they were better obviously in the second half with Doku being introduced and Mounier coming back after being out for about a year, I think it was, with that injury.
Yeah.
But I think it was what I liked about it was a very structured performance. Um, no one on the pitch kind of seemed lost. They all knew what their job was.
Yeah, yeah.
What was your overall thinking on it?
Well, firstly, I think for a nil-all game, I thought it was an entertaining one. You can get a drab nil-all game, and I thought we started off very, very brightly, and uh, we looked dangerous when we were on the front foot. I think I slagged Robbie Brady last week when seen him in the squad. I said, "What's he? I thought he had an excellent game. I thought he done very well at left full." Obviously, listen, we're still struggling in midfield. There's no doubt about it. We need some midfielders in there that can get the ball down and spread it. It's been tough for Evan. Obviously, he's had a difficult season off the pitch mentally, and the goals have dried up slightly. And listen, people were slagging him for missing the penalty. I can understand why he picked the ball and wanted to take it to get to end the drought and build his confidence, because that's what it's about. Goal scorers, they want to score goals. It builds their confidence, and that's what they live off. I do think though you've seen a lot of it. He's picking up the ball outside the box a lot when it's back to goal. I think that's why we need stronger players in midfield. He needs to be in the box like Haaland is, between that penalty spot and the 6-yard box, and getting balls in and putting himself about. That's because that's what he's good at. But at the moment, he's having to drop a lot deeper to get the ball and receive the ball, and that changes the game, obviously. And like I said, when your confidence is as low as a striker, the last thing you want to be doing is dropping deep. You want to be in the box and involved. So that's why I think, listen, Will Smallbone and stuff like that, he's a decent midfielder. I've seen a lot of him at Stoke when he was on loan from Southampton and stuff. But we need more quality. I'm glad that Andy Moran's after getting a call up to the senior squad from the 21s. So I'm hoping he gets minutes tomorrow night against Switzerland. I've known of Andy for a long time, and he was at Knockline United, and Joey's and Kevin's were both fighting for his signature, and he ended up going to Joey's, and through that he got a move to Bray. And he was the youngest ever player to play for Bray. He debuted at the age of 15. He was the youngest ever goal scorer for them, scored at 16. So I'm hoping he gets minutes. Even he played for the 21s on Friday night. He got a golden assist. He's the type of quality that we could see in midfield that I think would help Evan. They played a lot in the underage levels together as well. So I think I think that's a positive sign. Hodge is in there as well. He's more of a defensive midfielder. Obviously from QPR, he's on. He was with Wolves. He's played a few games for Wolves and stuff like that as well. But he's on loan with QPR at the minute. I don't not well. Wolves weren't keen to let him out to QPR because he'd gone through a few injuries, but he wanted him out to play first team football because I think he only appeared 5 times in the Premier League and then the other 5 were in cup competition. So he's in the squad as well. It'd be good to see him get minutes. Like I said, he's more of a defensive midfielder than Andy would be, but I really hope Andy gets a half an hour or whatever it is tomorrow night to show what he can do, and hopefully Evan be there. Like, hopefully Evan can score tomorrow night and build his confidence because he needs it. He's only 18. There's been a lot of pressure on the shoulder over the last season and a half since he's kind of burst onto the scene. And obviously we heard the stories about his mental health and stuff like that. And, price tags been put on his head and linked with Chelsea. This is all, you forget how old he is because like he's only 18, lads, he's or 19, sorry, now. He's still very, very young, so we need to kind of look after him and make sure he flourishes to the potential that he can.
Yeah. I suppose as well from John O'Shea's point of view, he was probably you're looking at a Belgium side that are a classy kind of footballing kind of side.
Mm.
They pass the ball around lovely, they retain possession, all that kind of stuff. And I think looking at it the other night, that I felt like there was like a little bit of a confidence issue in committing men forward. So
Forward,
a lot
yeah.
of the times when we broke forward and stuff like that, there wasn't a huge amount of bodies in the box or a lot of people there and
No,
stuff like that. Hence, as you said, Evan was dropping deep to get involved and stuff like that. And that's all well and good if you're Harry Kane and you've got runners either side of you and you can spray
exactly,
the ball and do some of
exactly.
that. But if those guys aren't committing forward and stuff like that, I thought Benny was okay as well the other night as well.
Yeah,
I think at times he can be a little bit frustrating for teammates, I would imagine. But
head
certainly
down
there
and he
was
doesn't
two
look
he
up.
could have
Yeah,
laid on a plate the other night.
one for Coleman
He
that
just
time,
looked
and
up.
yeah,
He just looked up. Um, but I I think the one thing I took out of it was there was nice structure. There was a plan. Obviously, John had put a plan together how he was going to play against the Belgians.
yeah,
Where I think if you look in Stevens here and stuff like that, it was kind of like rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Didn't matter who
yeah.
it was, rinse and
And
repeat.
and
Like
obviously it helps having Brian Kerr there. Now he gets a lot of slagging
the
for the way
experience.
yeah. I know Brian gets a lot of slagging for the way he speaks on Virgin Media and some of his thoughts, but if he has such a footballing brain, it's unbelievable. He's been working a lot with the St. Pat's under 19s and stuff like that. He's still involved in football, even when he wasn't with Ireland, when he was still doing the country. He's down at Pat's training ground every day of the week. He's, like I said, he's involved in the underage setup, so he's no fool. He has such a good footballing brain, and I was delighted when I seen John was involving him back in the setup, because that's what we need.
Do you know what I really liked the other night? If you look at Brian Kerr, he kept his distance from John as well, and
Yeah,
only
yeah,
spoke
yeah,
to him when he had to. So he wanted John to be the guy, but he was there kind of nearly like like an advisory role and stuff like that. And it was really
yeah,
cool from that point of view that he wasn't there on the sideline trying to take the limelight from John and stuff like that.
exactly. Yeah.
What are you feeling in terms of the managers? We know Lee Carsley's ruled out now, but I mean that was no secret anyway.
No, no, yeah.
What you're thinking at the moment? Would you see John as a potential candidate?
Well, I said it to me dad when I seen that John was set to be interim manager, and I said, listen, if we in any way get 2 good results against Belgium and Switzerland, he will be considered. There's no doubt about it. I know the way the FAI work. They're thinking to themselves, listen, the I know there's only 34,000 there the other day, but the fans were happy to see some decent football. For a change, and it depends. Listen, I could see us getting a result against Switzerland tomorrow, maybe beating them, and it will be in the back of their heads, and they won't have to pay him a tidy sum as they did with obviously Stephen Kenny, that sort of way. They because listen, and John will be enthusiastic, and like I said, he has the right people behind him there as well to build on that result the other day, that 0-0 draw. So it'd be interesting. Listen, he's had a good experience. He's been coaching with Stoke. He's been coaching with Birmingham. he's done his graft in terms of coaching and stuff like that. So maybe, but listen, there's been lots of names linked with the job over the last few weeks. Obviously, like you said, Carsey ruled himself out basically after saying he met the FEI for an involuntary kind of chat for an hour or so, and they left it at that. I still think Carsey fancies himself for the Gareth Southgate job if he does go. I know a lot of they talked about on the overlap again that he probably wouldn't, but I think in his head he still thinks he's in the running for it. Um, there's been a few other lads linked, but yeah, listen, I do think if they get a result tomorrow, there's a gap now between the next few games that they might give him the opportunity.
Yeah. David's in. Robbie Keane has a experience from working with Mick McCarthy.
He's probably still getting paid by the FEI as well, to be honest. By the way, did you like John O'Shea's navy suit on the touchline and his suede Tommy Hilfiger shoes the other day?
Your buddies were kitting them out, were they?
They were indeed. My mate Shay was down at Castleknock Hotel on Thursday night kitting them out.
Do you know what? And I'm going to put this out there now. Football managers in general, with the money that they're on and the wealth that they have,
Yeah,
disappoint me in the way that they dress.
yeah. I've always said though, I'd be a tracksuit manager.
Yeah,
I'd wear
I
my
don't
tracksuit on
necessarily
the
think
sideline.
you have to be a tracksuit manager, but I'd like, a nice suit and a shirt and tie, if that's what you want to
Yeah,
do, that fits the occasion or whatever it is. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, I often worry about people who wear cardigans under suits. I definitely
yeah.
worry about.
The old quarter zip.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But
Yeah, no, he had
yeah,
the quarter zip, the old navy suit, and
yeah,
the old Tommy Hilfiger suede navy shoes on. So yeah, he was well kitted out.
not too bad. Right, let's talk about the other one. England 0, Brazil 1.
Yeah, it was. I sat here and watched it. Me godson Callum was over, and it's an excuse to have the telly on. 'Cause he loves watching the football as well, and he's a big fan of Jude Bellingham at the minute, and
It wasn't.
so it was. I had it on Virgin Media there and stuff, and yeah, listen, I thought England came out and started playing very well. Obviously, there was the opportunity Brazil had where Kyle Walker miskicked it and said he pulled his hamstring. Like I said, I don't know. There didn't seem too much in it, to be honest. Um, and then after that, it was a kind of a typical friendly match between a second probably string Brazil team and England, and it was good. Listen, from a point of view of Kyle Walker getting injured, it was good for Concert to come on and get his debut. You could see how much it meant to him when he was coming on and stuff. He probably wasn't expecting to come on as early as he was. He was probably expecting to get 15, 20 minutes probably towards the end of the game, but I thought he did very well when he came on. Harry Maguire had a few kind of shaky parts of the game, but Brazil just showed their class in the end, don't they? They just the amount, even like I said, it's just like nearly a second string Brazil team, but the quality they have is unbelievable.
Do you know what was the other night? There was a lot of players in that team the other night that didn't perform at the level you would expect.
Hmm.
I thought Ollie Watkins didn't take his chance. I thought he could have been
Oh,
much.
100%.
And if he's going to be the guy that's on the plane in the summer, he's going to have to raise his game greatly.
Big time.
I thought Anthony Gordon tried hard, but again, I felt he was kind of look. It just maybe the occasion got him. It's his debut
You
and
took
stuff
the
like
word.
that.
I was just going to say, I think the occasion got to him slightly because it's built up in
Yeah.
his head so much, and to be there, you're playing the occasion rather than the actual match itself.
I thought Joe Boy came on Mainu. I thought he gave a great account of himself.
Yeah, yeah.
100% pass accuracy as well. Don't
Mm.
know if you caught that in the stats after the game.
Yeah, seeing that was the cherry on top of the cake
Very,
for me. Yeah,
very important. I did like the video of the boys receiving their caps. I thought that was
yeah,
kind of cool. I don't
yeah.
know if you think it was kind of cool to
Yeah,
see that.
seeing that, it's
I like
great.
that
I
kind
love
of
that.
old
It's old
school
school.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's cool. But I don't know. I just, do you know what I worry about Southgate? I worry, and I seen a stat the other day. I was listening to the boys doing a video on one of the other channels, and they were saying in 25 games against top 10 ranked teams, he's only won 4. which means he has a 16% win rate against teams ranked in the top 10.
That's
And I
mad.
was thinking, if you go into a major tournament, the chances are if you're going to win that tournament, you're going to have to beat at least two of those top 10 ranked teams.
Without a
You can
doubt.
imagine. At least two now,
Yeah.
maybe more. And I was thinking, it's not really a recipe for success, is it, to get you over the line to win a
No.
tournament if that's your kind of stats?
That's you're
Yeah.
looking at that going, is he the actual best man for the job, you know? In their qualifying groups they get so much handy groups like to qualify from, and obviously
Mm.
they get to the major tournaments and it's kinda like they shit their pants slightly, you know? Um they
Even in
don't
the
know.
major tournaments, they get reasonable groups.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just it's when
Even in the
the
final.
knockout stages is when,
Yeah.
you know, it kind of gets a bit iffy for them, you know. And I think they obviously broke the hoodoo. Was it against Colombia in the World Cup where they was it Colombia? They won on penalties and it was their first penal shootout one they won in a long time. Um, but I do think, listen, they always have a handy, like, you know, and you look at the pool of players there and you think they have to win a trophy. Even you look back, like they talk about years ago when they had the likes of Gerrard and Rooney and Scholes and this, that, and the other. How in God and Lampard, how in God's name they didn't win a tournament is beyond me, you know.
But even this group of players he has now, you look at this group of players he has to pick from now. The only problem I have with it is I think in certain kind of sections of the team, it lacks a little bit of experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You know that experienced head that will grab hold. Like if you look at the midfield the other night, you could see even Jude Bellingham at times he was a bit frustrated in his
yeah,
own game and the way he was kind of playing and all. And it's obviously difficult when you bring them in and you only have a number of sessions with them and you're trying to
yeah,
match Jude with Declan Rice and Mainu comes on and you're trying to find a balance there between youth and experience and it's a really, really tough one. And then when lose players like Kane and Maguire and Kyle Walker, and then you're not using Henderson. You're lacking that bit of experience in there that can,
in it.
point to a guy or talk to a guy or bring a guy closer or whatever it is to make it kind of work and stuff like that. And I think looking at the game the other night, I think at times in certain sections, they just looked a little bit lost.
Mm,
Or ran out of ideas, if you like, and then obviously you get the likes of Vinicius Junior and stuff like that, and the young lad who came on and got the goal. I think he's 17 or something. Is he?
yeah, he's only
Unbelievable.
young. Yeah, yeah. I
Imagine
think
being
he's only
17
just
coming
turned
on in a
17 as
friendly,
well.
yeah, and coming on in a friendly against England and scoring the winner at Wembley. 17. Like, imagine how that feels. When we
Mad.
talk about lads, like we still talk about players in the Premier League at 22 and 23 as
Yeah,
being young lads. This
yeah,
guy is 17, comes on, absolutely turns it on. You know what I mean? So I firmly believe you're old enough to pull on the kit, you're old enough to play. And that's the
yeah,
way it is. And I just
yeah,
think sometimes I think we over exaggerate sometimes the youth of players and stuff like that. Now Michael Owen was a terror at these ages and stuff like that,
yeah.
along with other players and
They're
stuff like that.
fearless. That's what it is. At that age, they're fearless and stuff, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of frustration out there at the moment. I mean, obviously, it'll be interesting to see how they play. They're playing Belgium next, isn't
Yeah,
it?
Belgium tomorrow night,
That,
is it? Or
that'll be
I
an
think it's
interesting game. Yeah, it's tomorrow night as well, I think. Yeah, so that'll be interesting because you'll have a lot of players who know each other.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how that all marries up and stuff like that.
They'll
Foden
probably
as
make
well, I think.
another few changes
Foden,
tomorrow as well.
yeah, Foden would have been disappointed the other night as well. He kind of struggled to get into the game as well.
Yeah.
So these,
And
these tend to be kind of key players for Southgate.
I, funny you mentioned Foden. I was looking at him and I was thinking to myself, he's not playing his normal game, obviously, that he would with City. And I was thinking
Yeah,
what we were talking about earlier with the run in. I wonder are some players thinking about that going, do I really have to make that extra run? You know, I don't want to do anything to myself at the games coming up and stuff. So I thought that about Foden, to be honest with you, when I was watching them the other day.
yeah. Like it's like, am I going out here to do this for England now, or
Yeah,
am I thinking about going to the Bernabeu in 2 weeks or whatever it is?
exactly. Exactly. That's what I was thinking when I was watching it. You know, I don't know. I could be, you know, thinking,
But
overthinking
you can
things.
imagine that City as well, can't you? Pep in a room with all these guys going off on international duty and standing there going, remember,
Yeah,
remember what I'm
exactly.
saying? Yeah, don't be going
Wrap
off
them up
there
in
doing
cotton
that
wool.
silly in these
Yeah,
friendlies. You know what I mean? As
that's
you
the
said,
thing. Like,
Kyle Walker, I'm sure his hamstring will be grand come Sunday.
And
Yeah,
even like when you look at the replay of when he kind of kicked the ball, and I think he hit off Maguire's head, and he takes 2 steps, and then he kind of goes like that. It didn't look much, man. It didn't. I know it doesn't take much to pull the hammy, but it didn't look much to me, man.
never does it? Vinicius Junior press conference, racism, breaking down crime. Yeah, absolutely. This is
Yeah,
just it's so tough for this guy and stuff like that to be dealing with that kind of stuff and all, you know.
and he's still only
And
a young lad as well.
yeah, and to be now, in fairness to him as well, he likes to have a pop off the crowd himself as well. So there's
Yeah, yeah,
nothing
yeah.
wrong antagonising people, but it should never go to that stage
No,
ever.
no.
But like, you know, tough all right when he's dealing with it. Granit Xhaka will be 10 out of 10 performance against Ireland on Thursday night at the Aviva.
Granite
Tomorrow
Shack,
night,
yeah.
Tuesday, isn't it?
Tomorrow night, yeah.
Yeah, it's Tuesday night. Tuesday night, not Thursday. Sure.
Aces is a few days ahead there.
I was wondering going on all the footballs back Saturday and Sunday. On
Oh,
Thursday will be a watch.
that was another one I was watching the other day. The playing San Marino were playing, and they were hoping to get their first win ever, and they lost 3-1
At least they got on the score sheet.
against like a Leinster team or United Churches League team or something it was.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, now, what you make of this? Sven, 4-2 to the Reds.
Oh man, I was texting you on Saturday, wasn't I? I was seeing some of the videos and not being like whatever, but I had a tear in my eye when I was watching it. You know, seeing him walking out on the pitch and seeing his reaction and knowing what he's been going through and stuff like that. Listen, it doesn't matter who you support. I just thought that was a brilliant moment. A fair play to Liverpool as a football club for making it happen. You know, um, I do listen. Obviously, I'm a United fan, but I appreciate Liverpool. I do always watch those Navy videos they deal with the fans and stuff like that, and fantastic run club and with unbelievable values and stuff like that, and the way they look after their own is second to none. And like I said, I brought a tear to my eye on Saturday when I was watching it. I was watching another clip of former England players that he had managed, sending them messages and stuff like that, and you could see how much he meant. He means to the lads, all his former players and stuff, and yeah, I just thought it was brilliant. The whole day looked like phenomenal. And in fairness, my sister Rebecca and Curtis, her fella, go to a lot of the Man United Legends games in Old Trafford, and they say it's one of the best games you can go to. You know, the nostalgia, seeing all the old players, and the atmosphere is brilliant and stuff like that. So, yeah, no, I thought it was excellent. Some of the players, like I said, Torres looked in better nick now than he did when he was playing. He's more bulkier, obviously, but
Could have done with that
Gerrard,
muscle back then, couldn't he? Could have done
yeah,
with that
too
muscle
right,
back
man.
then,
The muscle on him is unbelievable. But I was watching a clip there. A fan took a video of Gerrard spraying a ball across the field like he did in the old days, and it was just unbelievable. But again, I was just delighted for Sven. I thought it was an excellent thing for the club to do. When you see how much it meant to him, you see the look in his face, and when all the fans were singing, I thought it was excellent.
yeah. No, it was brilliant. I went to one time. It was AC Milan and Liverpool. It was a Legends game over there.
Yeah, yeah.
Gerrard was playing in it, and he was up against Nesta, and it was
Oh
class.
man,
Cafu and all was
like
playing in it.
it's unbelievable, isn't it? Like
But I tell you one
you
thing,
probably had Ben with you, did you?
yeah, I had Ben, but you want to see the competitive nature
Oh
between
yeah,
Gerrard and Nesta during that game. It
he's
was like
serious, yeah.
throwback, yeah. And even Gerrard the other day, when I see Gerrard up in the ref's grill the other day looking for a penalty from a handball and a
He's serious.
deal, deal. So it never goes
That's what it
away.
is.
Never goes
Like,
away.
l- like I'll go back to when I played in goal for the United Legends, and I had the lads in front of me and all, and Maisie, David May was like berating Keith.
Yeah,
Keith was reffing me mate Keith, and he's berating him, but they get stuck in, man. They still have that when they lace up the boots and go over that white line. It's just like
oh
it
yeah,
takes them back, But I was just
yeah.
saying, it's a great occasion to bring the kids. Obviously, you'd been there years ago. If you were talking about players, your dad be telling you about them and showing you videos,
Mm,
but for you to be able to take your kids to see these lads in action all
mm.
these years later, I think it's fantastic. It is.
Yeah, no, it's a great day out. I should have actually mentioned before we get into Daz's comment there. I should have mentioned Terry Venables got a good send off at Wembley as well, and it was nice to
Yeah,
see
saying that. Yeah, yeah,
Gascoigne and Shearer and somebody else, not
yeah.
Shearer, Gascoigne and
Gaza,
Sheringham,
Gaza, Gaza and Shearer were there. Shearer was with his son and stuff, and with Gaza as well. It was
Sheringham was there as well, and a few
Teddy was
others.
there with one of the young lads there, and yeah, no, brilliant. Listen, what he done, I think it does. Like I know we're from Ireland and all, but that Euro '96, the the three lions on a shirt, the whole thing, it was just unbelievable. Terry had an unbelievable squad to get to the final. Obviously, they were unlucky to be beaten on penalties, but I
He
think
was a great
everyone was.
character of football as well, wasn't he?
He was, and like El Tel, over in Barcelona and stuff like that. He great footballing mind, and yeah, it was like it was one of those things I still think about. I was only 11 or so, but I can remember it vividly. The atmosphere around the place, and turning on BBC and Jimmy Hill be there. And in the studio with the lads and stuff. It was brilliant
I was thinking the other day when he was getting the round of applause and he had this picture up on the screens
on
the
the
other day.
screen. Yeah,
I was wondering would Dunphy be up applauding him? That's where my
goodness.
mind went on it. So
It's
it's
mad
funny.
the things you think of, but yeah, no, it was a great send off, and obviously he passed away last year, and there hadn't been a friendly since, so it was a nice touch to see it in Wembley as well.
I was actually surprised because I thought they had already given him a send off, so I was surprised that they hadn't had an international
Yeah,
break.
that's what you think. Obviously, they did the Premier League teams at the time had done it and stuff like that, but it was the first time the English national team got a chance to do it. So, yeah, it was a nice touch, I have to say.
Question from Daz here: do you think Mainu will go to the Euros?
I think he should. I think he should. I think his performances this season have proved he should. I think he's um he's very assured. He's very confident, quietly confident as a young lad, and like I think I said it before, he kind of reminds me of Brian Robson a bit. Box to box midfielder. He loves a tackle. He can play. Passes left, right, and centre.
His
So I do. I
reading
think he
of the
deserves.
game is excellent. His reading of the game by
He's
Isaiah.
like a season pro. Like I've said it before, he looks like he's been playing the last 20 years the way he plays. And that's not just me being biased because I'm a United fan. It's just an observation. But I've watched a lot of him in the 23s and stuff on MUTV, and you could tell that. And for a small lad, he you think that he'd be knocked off the ball easily. He's small in stature and this, that, and the other, but he's
Do you
just
know the
excellent. I
funny
think he
thing though?
deserves a place.
If you have a look back at that video, the video where he got his cap,
Yeah, yeah,
he didn't look that small.
yeah, yeah. No, yeah, yeah. He is.
Because I was shocked when he walked up to get the cap off
And he
Gareth
looked
Southgate. I thought,
taller. Yeah, no, he is.
this is a big enough lad, like,
I
no?
suppose when you look at it, and he has
Uh,
someone like Rashford is fairly tall, and a few of the
yeah.
other lads in there are tall as well. So maybe that's why it was. But he's always been assured on the ball. I think he deserves a spot on the plane. To be honest.
Mm. See, I'd be different now. If he was a Liverpool player, I'd say, no, keep him at the AXA training centre
Yeah,
all
yeah,
summer,
yeah.
wrap him up and work on him. And don't be worrying about England.
Yeah. Well, listen, even if he went over with the squad, and he was only to get a few minutes here and there, it's still great
Yeah,
experience for him as a young lad to be around that tournament, like, because you have to learn about being in a hotel for days, and how to interact with the lads as well and stuff like that. So he get to learn all these little things and come back.
yeah, absolutely. Atletico Madrid, Fernando Torres, 2005 was untouchable. Absolutely.
Yeah, he was. He
Pretty good.
went to he
Pretty good
ruined
the other
himself by
day as
going to
well.
Chelsea then, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Don't want to talk about that, should we not? Yeah, let's talk about. Speaking of Chelsea, this is what they gave out the other day. Three Ring Circus, Crown Lake, get them out. We want our Chelsea back. I did say many
That
moons ago on a podcast, be careful what you wish for.
doesn't that picture look like a stag do in Benidorm or something like that, doesn't
Stag
it?
do in West London. But yeah, it's. I mean, what you thinking? I mean, you're obviously listening to Chelsea all last week. They were in the news, and there was talk of this 200 million black hole. There was talk of Mason Mount's, his transfer being taken into a previous year,
Yeah, yeah.
and talk of all the sponsorship stuff, all this kind of stuff. Um, How do you think this will blow out? Do you think they'll just sort it all out and it'll be all fine and it's a lot of hullabaloo over nothing, or do you think they could be in trouble?
It's obviously when City were linked with the charges, and then Chelsea's name was bandied about and stuff like that. Um, Firstly, I think with the amount of money they spent during the summer and stuff like that, and you see they're in 10th position in the league, and some of the decisions they've made, that poster is apt in what Chelsea fans think, because it's just been an absolute shit show, hasn't it? Like I was slagging my mate Duffer, who's a Chelsea fan, and I said, no matter how bad we're doing, I always look at yous and make myself feel better, this season because
Mm.
we've been woeful at times, but they've been worse. I don't know, how how the fans have had a like obviously, and then your man coming out a few weeks ago and saying he doesn't even like football. I know he's a businessman and this, that, and the other, but in a season what they're having and all these things are coming out, little things like that aren't going to improve the feeling or towards the board and the owners and stuff like that. It's an absolute shit show, and I do think it will be looked into, and listen, whether or not things are the FA are going to act on it is another story. But they seem to be picking on a lot of the lower teams, as we all know.
Yeah, I think the big problem for them as well, and I think everything has to be taken in context. And sometimes I've said on this podcast a million times, Chelsea supporters are the most impatient supporters on the planet. But what I would say is, and in defence, I've said before on with Eric Ten Hag, I've said it's very hard to judge him till he gets his 11 on the pitch.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think Chelsea, it's been that kind of way this season as well. They've had a huge amount of injuries to key players at key times. And I think they've been very unlucky in that respect. Now, I
uh,
think some of the decisions Poch has made at times in matches and selection of squads and or starting 11s and players in form not being played in consecutive
yeah,
games and all
yeah,
that kind of stuff. You can question all that as well. But I mean, when you think about it, he lost Lavia, who he brought in. They lost Fafana. They lost a bunch of players to injury and stuff like that and
James
all.
Chilwell,
Chilwell, Reece James. These are big game players for them and stuff like that and all. And then they've had an indifferent back line because of injuries and stuff like that.
yeah, he's
Badashile.
had to shoehorn players into positions, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's had to do that as a bit of that as well. And I think everything has to be taken in context. I think if they did spend an awful lot of money, and probably didn't spend it in the right manner. And
Yeah, yeah,
probably the policy of going for youth in terms of potential money balling down the road and all that kind of stuff. I think it kind of caught up with them and stuff like that because at times this season on the pitch they've just lacked experience.
mm,
And then you're trying to blend the Cachado in there. You're trying to blend in then you know, with Enzo Fernandez and all this, and you're trying to make it work and stuff like that. It's very, very new and Conor Gallagher's back in there as well, and there's talk he might be one of the key players who has to be sold because obviously all his money goes into the
yeah,
accounts. He's an academy player. The same with Trevor Chalobah, the same with Colwell and a number of other players. So it's unsettling for them as well. Like if you're Conor Gallagher going out every week in that midfield, going to war, trying to do the best you can for Chelsea, and then you're hearing all this in the background. Well, we're going to bin you off in the summer anyway because you're
yeah,
trying to
yeah,
punch
yeah. Like what the hell?
here we created, and now we have to sell you. So your future ain't going to be here. When you hear things like that and all, that can be very unsettling as well. So I think there's a lot of issues there at the moment. I think a lot of it was self-inflicted. Obviously the injuries you can't legislate for.
No, exactly. Yeah,
Um, but it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season pans out. But I think there's division there now within the fan base between the Chelsea support and the support, the other side of it that represents the board.
yeah,
That way, that fan base, and they're kind of saying to each other, "Well, listen, we need to come together here. We can't be pulling against each other and all that kind of stuff."
yeah,
No, because things are bad enough as it is. There, the last
yeah,
thing you
yeah,
need is your fan base split going at each other as well. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of this. But certainly, I mean, these businessmen, they're not fools. These are
no, no.
multi-billionaires and stuff like that. They're not silly. They know how business works and stuff like that. So we'll see what comes out of this. And, if Chelsea do end up getting sanctioned, I'm sure that would be very, very disappointing. I mean, they do have a case answer already from some of the things that have come out of the Abramovich era
Yeah,
that still has to be sorted out. So on top of that, if you've got problems there in terms of FFP or profit and sustainability breaches or whatever it is, we'll see what happens. But I'm sure some of it they'll be able to figure it out. But it's going to be interesting looking at Chelsea next season if a lot of the heart of that youth from the academy is ripped out of it and sold
yeah,
on. And then you're bringing in kind of you know fresh ideas again. Let's say that
yeah,
don't
exactly.
necessarily have an attachment to the Chelsea way, if you like.
Yeah,
So let's see what happens. But yeah, not good.
not ideal.
Acers. Todd Bowley doing absolutely fantastic job. Keep up the fantastic
Go
work.
on the Aces.
I tell you. What else have I got for you now? We've got a Hall of Fame, haven't we? Got a Hall of Fame. Let's
Oh
finish.
yeah.
Right, folks, tell us in the chat. If you're in the chat in there's 9 years there, as far as I know. If you're in the chat, pick your four. Who's your other four that going in? We know Ashley Cole is going in. I think deservedly so. Do you?
Yeah, well, I think there's another fullback that's close to my own heart that I probably have in ahead of him.
You said it in the WhatsApp group today.
Did you?
Yeah. You've had
Uh,
points with him.
yeah, I had a few drinks with him there in October. Good old Dennis Irwin. I feel should be in there if you look at it. Um, he's won more Premier Leagues than Ashley. He scored more goals. He has more assists. He could play left full. He could play right full. He used to take free kicks, penalties. He got up and down. I think the difference between him and Ashley is, and this is no disrespect to Ashley because it happens with a lot of fullbacks that came a little later after Dennis. They forgot they were defenders at times. They loved getting forward and the attacking play, but they forgot their duty as a defender. And Dennis never forgot that he was a proper defender. And I definitely have listen. There's no denying Ashley should be in there,
Mm.
100%. But I just think Dennis should have been in there before him. And that's listen. People might say I'm biased. I'm a Man United fan, and this, that, and the other. But like I said, he's a gent. We had points with me, done a short for the channel here and stuff like that. But I
That's
genuinely,
it.
as a
That's right.
football fan, I think he should be in there ahead of Ashley Cole.
Do you know what the difficulty is with this Hall of Fame? I've said it time and time again. You've over 30 years of the Premier League,
Yeah, yeah,
and they're putting in 5 guys every year or whatever it is.
yeah,
And I'm thinking, how do you ever catch up when you think about the length of time we've been watching the Premier League
yeah,
and the amazing players that we've watched over the years? Forget about even the top teams, but
yeah,
even the likes of Letitia at Southampton
yeah,
and
yeah.
all these great players that we watched as well. How are they ever going to catch up? At what
Yeah,
point do you feel satisfied with what you have in there?
yeah,
Now,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not saying at any given time you put 20 people in a year,
yeah,
but it's very like if you look at that list there, look at those 15 that's on your
yeah.
screen, and look at the span of years. Like if
It's
you're
mad.
looking at Yaya Toure in there, you're looking at David Silva, you're
Yeah,
going all the way back then to Robbie Fowler, Les
Les
Ferdinand,
Ferdinand. Yeah,
maybe even further back, Sol Campbell, way back. So it's so like
it,
look at
it,
that
it is, isn't
span.
it?
You know
And
what I
like
mean? So what they're
like you
trying
said
to
about
do is,
Letizier there
yeah,
and
mm,
stuff, and you could even like say JJ Okocha, like he was a legend. The style of football he had at Bolton and what he brought in, like I remember because you remember this. We talked about this before. We'd have to sit down on a Saturday night to watch Match of the Day, to see all these things. You wouldn't get it on your phone. There was
yeah.
no such thing back in the day. You'd always look forward to sitting down. I used to love seeing the likes of Zola, JJ Okocha, all these flair players, what they do on a Saturday afternoon. But yeah, you're right. It's so difficult, and how are you gonna fit it all in? I suppose. Listen, it's like it's like the WWE Hall of Fame. You're seeing a lot of quality going into it, and then you're seeing a lot of absolute rubbish going into it as well. And obviously it's different.
I,
There's
I think
celebrities and stuff like
I,
that
I
in there.
think the good thing about this one is I don't think we actually question anyone who's gone in. We're only
Yeah,
questioning
yeah,
maybe the timing before
yeah.
others.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah,
So there's not too many I can recall that have gone in and I go, "Why the hell's he gone in there?"
yeah,
It's
exactly.
more
Yeah,
kind of,
no,
"Why has he gone in there before this guy
for
or this
certain, exactly. Yeah.
guy?" The
Now
timing
they'll all
is
end up in
key.
there. It's just like you said, timing.
Now, one thing I had a problem with this list today, and I highlighted it on Twitter and I highlighted it in our WhatsApp group. What's Michael Owen doing wearing a Liverpool jersey for a Premier League Hall of Fame?
Yeah,
Beggars belief,
that's
you
it.
know. He won the league with you guys, but then of
Yeah,
course,
yeah.
if you look at the list that's there, there's that many United lads on it.
They probably
If you
just
put
wanted to
Owen in
switch
the
it up a bit.
United jersey, what have you got?
Yeah, yeah,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You would have had 6 out of the 15.
yeah,
I would have been heavily weighted. And listen, no surprise either when you consider United's history in the Premier League
yeah,
either.
yeah. Of course,
Right.
but
So Acers is in. Acers is saying John Terry. And he's also saying Andy Cole goal scoring was absolutely ridiculous. And he's
yeah,
also given a shout out for Gary Speed. Dino mentioned Gary Speed today
yeah.
as well.
I
Um,
think I mentioned him the last time where
yeah,
this
that's going
came
to be
around on the podcast that you should be in it, like 100%.
right. So looking at that list, 15 there, you have to give me 4. There's 5 I think go in.
Ooh, right. I'm gonna. Do you know what? I think because I was a goalkeeper. I'm gonna go with Edwin. I think Edwin van der Sar has to be in there.
Will Ryan Giggs get in after everything?
He should. Obviously, he should, but he hasn't been a very good boy over the last few years, has he?
No innocent until proven guilty in this
Well,
court of
true,
law, is there?
true, yeah. Of course, he should be in there. Like he's been unbelievable. 13 Premier League titles. He was the most appearances for Manchester United in the Premier League and stuff like that. Absolutely, he should be in there. But
Nice was going Robbie Fowler.
Robbie, yeah,
Yeah,
right.
that's
Listen, you
3. We
look
don't
at
have Gary Speed on the list. So we've Acers has gone with John Terry, Andy Cole, and Robbie Fowler. So we need one more
JT.
from the Acers. David, give us 4 off the list here if you're still in the
Yeah,
chat.
David,
Anyone who's still in the
give
chat,
us four
jump
there.
in and pick us 4, Daz. Pick us 4. There's Daz. Daz is going with Fowler around to go in next, I think. We need 4. I think there's 4 more due to go in.
Four. So we call. There's five altogether. Actually, calling in another four, isn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah.
that's it.
Do you know what? I used to love watching Les Ferdinand play. I'm not going to put him in, but he will eventually be in the Hall of Fame. But I used to love watching him, man. Do you remember my QPR and stuff like that? And then,
That rocket he
he,
scored against you guys.
do you remember that, man? Oh, man.
Watched it
Yeah.
live.
And you look back, some of the surfaces were so hard to play on as well, weren't they? Remember QPR had that poxy Astro as well for a while. Do you remember the hockey Astro? So yeah, Les. Then he obviously Newcastle, him and Shearer hooked up for a little while, and then he got his move to Spurs as well. But so yeah, sorry, I'm digressing. I'm going Van der Sar. I'm
Okay.
going to go with yeah, and David Silva, man. Holy crap!
Not yet.
It's
You couldn't put
No,
either of
but
them
no,
in.
I'm just looking, going, holy crap! Right, I'll get the United ones out of the way. I'm gonna go with Van der Sar, and I'm gonna go with Andy Cole because of all the goals he scored, his goal scoring ability. When I remember coming home from St. Lawrence's, believe it or not, the day he signed and listening to it on the radio and stuff like that. Um, oh, do you know what? Van der Sar. I'm gonna go Andy Cole. I'm looking at Sol Campbell. I thought he was excellent. David's gone as well, yeah.
David's gone with Owen, JT, Big Soul, and Silva.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Sol Campbell as well. He was solid, absolute solid as a defender, and obviously there's a bit of controversy when he got the move from Spurs to Arsenal and stuff. I thought he handled it very well. I thought he didn't uh, he didn't take a misplaced stride. I thought he was just brilliant the way he handled it, and
He didn't do an
obviously
Addy
he's
Boy or like
not exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's all, but he was a solid defender. Like, you look at Arsenal through the years and bold. Winterburn, Adams, and stuff like that. They always had solid centre halves, and for him to come in and try to fill them shoes fill them boots. Sorry, was a big thing, and I thought he done it very well. So yeah, I'll go Campbell, Van der Sar, Cole, and then we've one more. Yeah, there's a few of them that will be in a few. The likes of Hazard and that will be in a few years, I'd say. Obviously Neves is up there, but I'm not going to go 3 United players. So I will go for.
You go 3 United players if you want.
Look,
If you
do you
feel
know
you
what
need to put Michael Owen in, go ahead.
I was thinking about Michael Owen next, to be honest with you. And I was like, I don't know. Because Jermaine Defoe, like his longevity in the Premier League, obviously Michael Owen had his injuries and he moved away to Real Madrid and he came back and he was with Newcastle and Stoke and stuff like that. Jermaine, probably had a better goal scoring ability and like for the different goals he scored. Remember that remember that goal he scored against Crystal Palace? It was like the almost like Marco van Basten type of thing, you know. So I'm going to include Jermaine Defoe.
Pick. I wonder how many went for him. That'd be interesting.
I just think the amount of different goals he scored and the amount of goals he scored in like the likes of Spurs and stuff like that. And Portsmouth, he was with. I'm gonna put him in there. Robbie would have been close. I'd actually put Robbie in first ahead of Michael Owen.
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
You don't have to worry about that because he's in my 4, so it's all good.
That's all right. That's all right. Now you
Robbie
go
would
ahead,
be in
cuz.
my 2, he would be in my 1, he would be in whatever. You want to see the picture I have of him here over the laptop? My God.
He's God Liverpool, isn't he? God.
See the new mural they did of him?
Yeah, seeing that, yeah.
Incredible looking.
What was the other mural they did? They did one of who else did they do?
They've done them all nearly at this stage.
Yeah, no, so there was a video
Trent,
too, the older players going
Mo,
around looking at their new mural that was put up.
yeah, there's a Mo Salah one, there's a bunch, and they're all over the place.
Jamie Carragher, his is in Bootle, is it, or something like that?
This is over at Goodison.
yeah. Where it all started.
There you go. Where it all begins again. Right, so the 4 I'm going to go for are obviously Fowler's in there. Without a doubt. Could not pick Robbie
Yeah,
Fowler.
yeah.
I'm going to go with Andy Cole. I'm going to go with Les Ferdinand, 3 forwards. And then I'm going to round it out with John Terry.
JT.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's a good pick.
I just think the way that, I mean, you know, we don't even have to talk about him really, do we? Like similar to Rio, the way
Yeah.
he did at Chelsea and stuff like that. No, you'd have to put him in there. I think it's just a bit too early for David Silva and Yaya Toure. I'm not,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not discounting them in any way and stuff like that.
100%. Like I said, each and every single one of them on that vote will be in at some stage or other.
Yeah, even Carrick. Like you look at Carrick there, he'll be in there. But the problem with Carrick is he's in a similar situation to kind of Dennis Irwin. Just quietly went about his business and was never in trouble. Always a professional. So sometimes the guy who snorts cocaine along the sideline is the guy who sometimes gets mentioned. You know, who knows? You know, but yeah, that would be the 4 I would.
It is funny about Dennis, like, you know, there are people out there. Listen, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but I just think he was one of the best fullbacks the Premier League has ever seen, and he hasn't been on either list. You know.
Do you know the funny thing? I looked at it. I looked at his Ireland career today. I think he'd only 56 caps. Couldn't believe it.
He'd only 56 caps.
Yeah.
I think what happened there is, I know some of them. If you look at the game against Holland in Anfield that time, remember for the qualifying for Euro '96, he was actually suspended. He picked up a few suspensions along the way. Then there was on the overlap what they were talking about the internationals. Ferguson wasn't too keen on himself and Roy travelling over the waters to go represent Ireland, so that had an effect on it as well, you know.
Look at how happy Ferguson was. He was the happiest guy at Saipan.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, big time, big time. But no, like I said, I think Dennis should be in there. He's an absolute gent, to sit down, have a few points with him and a chat, and he's just you wouldn't think he was the player he was. He's just so down to earth, and he had time for everyone. But like I said, there was myself, Billy Browner, Tony, Clayton, and Dennis sitting around having a few pints of Guinness together, just shooting the breeze. It was unbelievable.
There's a good point there from Acers. The foul was so underrated that big clubs didn't buy him is completely outrageous. That's a fair enough point. But you know what I found with the foul as well? I think he kind of he sometimes came across like his shit didn't smell, didn't he?
Yeah,
No,
I
I
and
think
I,
he
I
knew. I
think
think he knew quite well how good and talented he was, and he wasn't
yeah,
scared to
without a
hide it.
doubt.
You know,
I just think, and I think he loves playing under Harry Redknapp. He was one of those guys that was just always at a club Harry Redknapp was at. That sort of way. So when you have a relationship like that, you know Harry knows what he's going to get from Jermaine, and Jermaine knows what he's going to get off from Harry as well. So I think it worked that way very, very well. And it is. Listen, I know he was linked with a few of the bigger clubs. Obviously, listen, he was with Spurs, who are a big club, and obviously they don't win a lot, but in terms of trophy, but they're still a big club in that sense. So, um, but I think even when he was with Bournemouth and all, he was still a class act.
yeah. Prediction for tomorrow night: England,
I'm
Belgium,
going.
Ireland, Switzerland.
I'm going 2-1 Ireland. I think that we'll get a few goals. I think we will leak a goal, but I'm going 2-1 Ireland.
Is Shaqiri still in the fold at Switzerland?
Um, I think he is. And
Be
now,
interested
now,
to see him and Brian Kerr tomorrow night.
yeah, yeah, someone should play him that clip either way, because if he's not, he'll probably be doing a commentary or something somewhere. But Noah Okafor should be in the squad as well.
The foul won an FA Cup with Portsmouth is ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, Portsmouth winning an FA Cup is
He's
ridiculous. Forget
ridiculous.
about the foul winning it with them.
I think so. Wasn't Sol Campbell in that Portsmouth team as well, wasn't he?
It was, but I think he was going through injuries at the time, wasn't he? He was
Was he?
kind of
Yeah,
in and
yeah.
out of it.
David James in goal. They sold there. I think Crouchy was there as well, wasn't he?
Grouchy came in. Yeah, man. Who else was there? Cranchar, was it? Cranchar was there,
Yeah,
was it?
yeah, yeah.
Cranchar, man.
He's got a
Cranchar was
cracker
there.
of a goal near the halfway line. I remember
Who
that
else was
all
there?
right.
Was Yakubu there at the time as well?
Ikubu
Very
was
good.
there, yeah, and
He's
because you
got
remember that
plenty to
story.
say this week about Mo Salah. Don't
I've
know if you've
seen
seen
that,
it.
yeah. I've seen
Yeah.
that about the African player, yeah, yeah. And all, he wouldn't be the most popular man on Merseyside at the minute. Good old Yak.
That would be the case anyway, wouldn't it? From
Yeah, yeah, but yeah.
his blue
Consider what
connection.
side of the Stanley Park he played on.
Absolutely. Well, great show as always, cuz. We weren't too sure
Enjoyed that.
what we were going to do tonight, so just
Yeah,
said
yeah.
we blend it in as best we can. I will be back on Wednesday night with Pro Wrestling Weekly. We're going to be looking at the Slammy Award nominations and the road to WrestleMania and all that good stuff. On Thursday, I'll be back with Darren for Thursday Tier Talk. We're going to get Darren's thoughts on the run in. I'll probably get Darren's thoughts on the Hall of Fame as well, football one. And we'll be doing a preview for the Premier League and all the usual stuff. Um, at some stage this week, I'll drop a review of Dark Side of the Ring. It's Brutus and Barbara Beefcake this week. I don't know
All
how
right.
much side stuff is going to come out about Brutus, but we shall see. And
Sure.
Friday, I'll do a Brighton preview for the Shanky sessions.
Remember, he came into WCW as Hogan's. What was his character in WCW again?
That's crazy.
He looked completely different. He had the beard, and yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Kind
he
of like remember when Rick Rude went in from WWE and he had the stubble and all, and
yeah,
went to
yeah,
see.
yeah. The same night as Tim, but yeah, good old Brutus. Yeah, you see him banging around at all these Comic Cons and this, that, and the other, isn't he? Like,
Ace of Portsmouth defeat United at Old Trafford in FA Cup, stopping the United treble 2008.
yeah, isn't that the game where Rio had to
Butcher,
get in goal?
Butcher.
Uh, yeah, I think a butcher. Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think Rio had to get in goal for and Portsmouth won 1-0. They scored the penalty. He dived the right way but couldn't save it. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right, Rio and that. Yeah, remember
I'm
putting on
nearly
the
sure that
gloves
was the
and everything.
Portsmouth game.
Man,
Yeah,
taking
yeah,
age to put the gloves on, like
yeah. I'm nearly sure that was the Portsmouth game, man. I'm nearly sure it was.
that was Rio with the cornrows as well, wasn't he? He was like exhibit,
Yeah, yeah.
wasn't
And
he?
then
Yeah,
I think the season before, sure, remember John O'Shea had to get in goal against Spurs and White Hart Lane and stuff.
made a couple of good saves from what I can
Yeah,
remember as
very
well.
well. Yeah.
Actually,
If
did
you
he
look
clip
back,
a
there's
beauty over
when
the
he,
bar or something like that? Did he
yes,
go?
yeah.
He stretched him over the
And
bar or
then
something?
I think it might be in Rio played the ball short to him when he had to come out. Robbie Keane was on the end of it and stuff. He done very well. But there's a video on YouTube of all the outfield players in the Premier League that had to go in goal. Vinnie Jones had a very good game against Newcastle for Wimbledon, and he was for Sheffield United, the centre half. But anyway, it's a good video. If you have time, go on and watch it. You see all the
Yeah,
outfield players playing goal. It's good.
absolutely. Right, as always, folks, if you could subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, drop a like on the video, all the usual stuff, so you get informed about when we're going live and the shows that are coming up. And we'll talk to you again real soon. Cheers, Marky.
Cheers, lads.
Just, oh, hang on.
Oh, Phil,
Oh,
yes.
Phil Jagielka. There we go.
Still
Finally right.
jaggy, yeah.
Thank you
He
very much
pulled
for
off
that.
some very, very good
Indeed,
saves in that game. You should watch that clip. It's very good.
absolutely. I love that. Thanks for jumping in just in time. I was nearly gone. Rio scored an own goal at Portsmouth away. There you go.
That was, I remember it, yeah. Rolled it. It was like slow motion. Rolled
Yeah,
it in.
there we go. Listen, until next time, cuz appreciate it. Talk to you again
Cheers,
real
guys.
soon. Cheers, folks.